your powder dry, folks. There, we're back.
A little glitchy on us this morning.
I noticed that. I wonder if too many people on upstairs tonight or something.
Whatever. We'll see.
We'll try it out. Hey, welcome everybody. Episode 102. Can you believe that? We did 100 here a couple weeks ago, and we're at 102 now.
That's right. We're 102 episodes in, and only got about, 20 more years of this, Clay?
Yeah, well, that'd make me like 69.
What are you going to be doing? Come on. You'll be podcast famous.
Nah, I'll be living in Florida hopefully by then.
Podcast rich.
Not living there, but going back and forth.
Podcast rich.
Yeah. Is that like Radio DJ Rich?
Yeah, that's like Radio Rich. Yeah.
All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Let's see here. Let's get the chats rolling here. I didn't do that before I got there. Hey, good evening, Brian, Mr. Fellow MVE, and Eric's, of course, tuning in right now. He says, good evening. Hope you all aren't dying in this heat. Oh, I'll tell you what, it's been kind of bad, hasn't it, guys?
Yeah.
You know what I did notice is for whatever reason, this new system, Mike,
yeah,
we don't have our little counter to tell us how many people are listening in.
I noticed that, but it was there last week.
It was there. So what'd you do now?
I didn't do anything. I swear.
I don't know what happened to it, so I can't tell you exactly.
Man, that's all right. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I have no clue why that's not on there. Anyway, so yeah, welcome everybody. But I suppose we should probably quit messing around here and start like we do every night.
There we go.
Go ahead and why don't you tell us a little about the second?
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
There you go. There you go. One of the most, well, I think it's the most important one myself. I don't know. Maybe not, but I think it is.
That's what I think.
Well, I'm checking out things over here. Let me get set up here. We were BSing too much beforehand, so there we go. We got things up and running on Rumble. Hey, welcome everybody over on Rumble. Did you check Twitter yet?
Twitter, not yet. I was checking Twitch, and don't see us on. Oh yeah, there we are we're on Twitch. We're on Twitch. So yeah,
we are not on Twitter. Go figure.
So yeah,
sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. I have no clue why it's not on there tonight. So I will go add it to mine. Hopefully, it'll start transmitting there. Maybe we can share it.
Well, people need to get tuned in because we've got a lot of good stuff on the show tonight. It's going to be a good one.
And Friday we got another show, and then you're going to be gone.
Next week I am going to be in New Orleans with my sons. Have a church camp down in the Superdome. That's where they play the foosball. And
New Orleans, right?
New Orleans. So the NOLA. So yeah, we're going to be down there and for a week and having a good time. So
cool.
Trying not to get killed because they tell me I can't strap.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's
unbelievable, right?
That's all right. Yeah, I guess I'll just be a human shield. There you go. So there.
All right, we want to thank our sponsors, especially Lauer Auto Repair. So Guns on the 701, powered by Lauer Auto Repair, 309 South Washington Street, 701-258-6308, guys. Give them a call, get that vehicle in tune, and of course, you know that your dollars are going to a Second Amendment pro-America conservative place. That's what we love about them. I want to say thanks to Axe, the boys there, because they've been with us since the beginning. Well, since you're going down to New
Orleans,
we have a story from there.
I know. Thank goodness.
I've never heard of this one. We all know that the gun-free zone has existed since the Clinton administration, another stupid policy. Where you're not supposed to be able to carry within 1,000 feet. There are exceptions, but not too many. Well, Louisiana, starting in July 4th, so it's already passed. So they've had their freedoms restored for 6 days down there now. They passed a permitless carry law, also known as constitutional carry. Well, the New Orleans Police Department doesn't like that, and they got a notorious history of not upholding the Second Amendment and violating people's rights. Well, they weren't able to get their state lawmakers to designate swaths of the city's area a gun-free zone. So in their own, I guess they think they're smarter than the people attitude, They designated their 8th District Police Station. Now, if you don't know where that's at, that's right in the middle of the French Quarter. And Mike, what happens at the French Quarter?
Oh, there's a lot of things happen in the French Quarter.
Well, one big celebration.
Oh, yeah, the Fat Tuesday, the Mardi Gras. Yeah,
Mardi Gras, exactly.
A lot of beads tossing out.
Takes place right there on Bourbon Street. So in the middle of the French Quarter, you have the 8th District Police Station. They designated it as a vocational technical school. They turned their police station, a working police station, into a VOTEC. Now everything within that 1,000-foot radius of the, quote, school is now a gun-free zone. And it includes more than 5 blocks of Bourbon Street, which is one of the most probably popular tourist destinations.
And if you've ever been to New Orleans, let me go ahead and tell you, that is not the area that you have to worry about the guns. I'm serious. I mean, it's not. There are offshoot areas in the quarter and around New Orleans that you do have to worry about. And if you walk into the wrong neighborhoods, you're taking your life in your hands. So, but not Bourbon Street, yeah. It's just ridiculous, but yeah, it's a way of skirting the actual laws, and they did pass the laws. But once again, police have a different thought than the other people. So there we go.
Yeah, they know more than we do, don't they? Unelected people. So here's what happens. Now in Louisiana, if you do something in a gun-free zone, they do call that a felony. They can arrest you. It's punishable by up to 5 years in the state prison of hard labor. I like how they put that in there.
Oh, they have it. Yeah, let me tell you, it's not a prison system you want to be part of right there. One-shot cap just coming in. Yeah, not part. Hey, but I did figure out something while we were down there. It says I thought about it. It says there's always musicians going around playing different gigs and everything down in New Orleans. And I thought, well, what a fantastic idea, as if I got myself a new guitar case.
Yeah.
And I like that guitar case, because then if I got that guitar case, then I could get this, which would, no one would know any better. But hey, that guy's just another I can't say musician. Musician. There you go. Magician does the ta-da, magician.
With your Mini 14. There you go.
Yeah, I like that, though, don't you? Yeah, that's pretty nice. Anyway.
It kind of reminds me of when we had the Tommy guns in the NRA.
I know. I used to like that in the guitar case. That was always nice.
That was pretty cool. So, yeah, I think that this is just bugging me. I can't see how many people are joining us now.
I know.
So, guys, give us a shout out if you're listening, because we can't see it. We really, truly can't. And I didn't check Fascist Book Night. I imagine we're still on there.
Yeah, I saw us on there. So,
but we've had some troubles. But yeah, anyway, getting back to the story. So who's going to actually attend these classes at their new school? Well, that's not known. The police recruits, they're trained at a police academy. We have the same thing here in the Dakotas. There's one there in Pierre. North Dakota's, I imagine, is in Bismarck. I don't even know. Maybe they go over to Wahpeton. I have no clue where the police academy is in North Dakota, but I do know that there is one in Pierre, South Dakota for South Dakota. Well, they got the same thing in Louisiana. So basically, it can't really be a school. It's a different facility. But the police and the city officials claim that some of the recruits now may take at least one class in a small room at this new VOTEC. Although there are no classes planned for any civilian students.
At the moment.
And not for civilian students. Interesting. The Louisiana Attorney General, Liz Murrill, she's balking at this. She warns them. She goes, hey, you could face civil rights lawsuits because of their made-up designations. And here's her quote. I'm working hard to keep the state of New Orleans safe. Or the city of New Orleans safe. But the city cannot avoid state law and just unilaterally designate police stations VOTEC locations. You can't just designate yourself a VOTEC school. There's a lot of implications, of course. And she goes, if it's not one, it's going to be the jurisdiction of a board of supervisors for higher education then would need to oversee the new police station VOTEC. So that's problematic. It would be subject to other oversight requirements as well. She says, I have no specific plans yet, but would caution the New Orleans Police Department that it will likely be subject to civil rights lawsuits under Section 1983 of the Civil Rights Act. And if it arrests people pursuant to its made-up designation, which is clearly not legal, she says, I certainly hope that the New Orleans Police Department isn't violating people's rights by making up their own rules, which is why the department right now is under a federal consent decree. And guys, if you don't know where that comes from when Hurricane Katrina came through, and that's we'll get to that here. And she also said, Schools have classrooms, not booking rooms. I don't know. I agree with her. What do you think? That's their
No,
attorney
I totally
general
agree with her.
statement.
And it's good to see that she's on our side, because if you can skirt the laws and if you can twist the laws to favor yourself, then what separates you from the criminals? What
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing a criminal act by usurping the law that is clearly put down in front of you. And instead of finding a way to do whatever you need to do legally, what are you doing? You're showing that you have contempt for the law that you're supposedly sharing with us. So, hey, Lynette, how are you doing tonight? Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And of course, I'm going to make sure that I get a nice picture of our Guns in the 701 T-shirt in front of that police station.
You have to
Hopefully
do that,
not during booking. I don't want to get it during booking, but what happens in New Orleans doesn't always stay in New Orleans.
So, I talked about earlier that the New Orleans Police Department, they've had issues in the past, right? Well, this basically just a little background. Law-abiding gun owners, they should use extreme caution until Bourbon Street's gun-free zone can be overturned. The New Orleans Police Department officers have a history of aggressive targeting of concealed weapons carriers, including the tourists, and they have it's a horrible record when it comes to infringing on the Second Amendment. One example, and I remember this, after Hurricane Katrina, the officers from the New Orleans Police Department went door to door confiscating legally owned firearms from city residents. Very illegal. There was no reason for this. In complete contradiction of the Second, the Fourth, and Fifth Amendment. Yeah, they took your Second Amendment rights. They violated your Fourth. They violated your Fifth. No warrants, no nothing. They just went and took them, confiscated them.
Right.
Years later, after the courts ordered the weapons returned to their owners, it was learned that most were improperly stored and allowed to rust into dust. And the NRA got very involved with that. That's why I'm pretty familiar with that. They sued. I mean, they went after it right away. They went after it with a vengeance because it was so illegal. And then I think the Second Amendment Foundation, some others joined in on that because they can't do that. And they did win those lawsuits, and it set a precedent. So now you basically ain't going to ever have that happening again. But it's sad that all these guys, they got no compensation. These victims, because that's what they were. They were victims of a tyrannical police force. They didn't get any money back. Most of them didn't get their property, their personal private property back that was stolen from them from the New Orleans Police Department. And all in the name of a hurricane.
You want to tell me that all those guns rusted? That's like after the bump stock thing. It's sorry, mine all went down on the ship. It's like, no, it didn't happen.
If they did, that was on purpose. They threw them in water, probably, or they just sold them, destroyed them, whatever. I'm sure they didn't have them. They got rid of them, probably destroyed them. Yeah. So since that time, the New Orleans Police Department has operated under a consent decree with the United States Department of Justice after a federal civil rights investigation found that the department had a pattern and practice of conduct by law enforcement officers that deprives individuals of rights, privileges, or immunities secured by the Constitution of federal law. Think about that. Here you have a police department found guilty by the United States Department of Justice, which doesn't have a very good rep anyway.
No.
But they were found guilty of basically violating the constitutional rights.
Left or right? Yeah.
I mean,
just took it.
Yeah. So the federal government took control of the police department at that time and ordered them to comply with a massive list of changes and issues and issue a quarterly compliance report of their progress. So far, that's as of now, even under the current one, the Department of Justice has shot down all attempts by the New Orleans Police Department to terminate this agreement. And I did go look on that a little. They've been trying and they've been asking for their release, basically. Nope. They feel that they're so bad. Even this Department of Justice says, no, we've got to have some oversight. Or you guys can go back to the same thing.
Let's say forget oversight. Let's say top down, from the commanders all the way down out. You got a black, but not just that. You got a black mark on your record that you are not hireable for any police organization or BlackRock group or anything, that you can't work for those anymore. You have got such a record, no more, and just start from scratch. Start from scratch. Oh, well, what about my pension? Well, you know what?
Too bad.
You know what? What about? Do you say when you pull over a criminal or arrest a criminal, do you say? And he goes, well, what about my? Too bad, because you're just as bad as a criminal, just as bad as a criminal.
And until you purge a department or a bureaucracy, because that's what it is, until you purge it of all the bad apples, which might be all of them, you can't change nothing, especially the leadership. You got to get rid of the leadership. Obviously, they condone this stuff because they protect the underlings or the employees. That's what they're employees that are beneath them in their command. And if they're protecting them, then they're condoning it. They're the number one reason you get. They're boom, you're out of here. But yeah, then you got to get rid of these. So yeah, maybe it's the best. Get rid of them all. Bring in new people. I don't know, but. So there was some things here that they tried to reach both the public affairs division at the police department and the mayor, which she's a leftist anyway. Of course, nobody returned calls. I did find out that essentially the NRA has gotten involved in this as well. So we'll see where that goes along with the other groups. So that's nice to see that that's happening, to see what they can do with this. The Louisiana Shooting Association got involved. They oppose it. Sounds like they've teamed up with the Second Amendment Foundation as well.
Right.
And I like what they said. Louisiana Shooting Association, of course, opposes this redesignation, and the reason is that it's not a school. You can't just wave the magic wand and create a school just because you teach a class there. And you're right. Most schools have to be accredited. They have to be a real school. Louisiana state law is very specific when it comes to a school regarding what constitutes a VOTEC. As the Attorney General pointed out in her statement, they are subject to supervision of a board of supervisors for higher education. They're claiming their new school is part of their police academy, but their police academy is not supervised or managed by this board of supervisors, and they cannot call themselves a VOTEC. I agree 100%. Here's what's worse, though. City officials have already changed their gun-free zone maps to include this 1,000-foot circle around the 8th district. Think about that. They just went ahead and did it. So you know what's going to happen. They're going to do this, and they're just hoping nobody else does anything.
Well, they're just hoping it just kind of falls by the wayside and people lose interest. Yeah.
And I mean, what they did is they made an end run around the state law. They made an end run around the Constitution. You got criminals down there. You have criminals in that area. They're the problem, not the guns, but you're never going to convince leftists of that. I look at it like this. They're gonna probably make their first arrest at some point. I don't know when. Probably during Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be challenged. It'll be a perfect case then for Second Amendment Foundation or any of these other groups they're doing this to basically have standing in court. It's going to go through that process. I don't know what that district's like down there as it would work its way through the court system, but eventually it's going to go back to Bruin. And we've mentioned Bruin how many times on here. There's no historical use for it. But other than that, it's not a school. It's never been a school. It's not accredited, and it's not under the supervision of the higher education, the Board of Higher Education.
Let me go ahead and say this real quick. When I was in South Carolina back in the actually 1990s, they were excited. They had a big thing up in Columbia, South Carolina, up on the Capitol building front lawn when they moved from 48th to 47th in education. They were so happy about that. They were touting how great it was. Well, the reason why it happened is because we added Puerto Rico to it. Puerto Rico pushed everybody up. And I want to let you know that they became the 51st state. And actually now Puerto Rico is actually better than Louisiana. Louisiana actually is, I believe, 51. So think about that for 1 second, just 1 second, that your education system down there, maybe schools is not what you want to tout. Yeah, maybe that's not exactly where you want to go with that. You know, maybe auto mechanics or something. VOTEC might have been a better idea. Yeah, you're right.
Unbelievable. Well, I was going to say, you got anything else you want to send?
Well, yeah, because I'm going down there. Of course, I'm chaperoning the church group and whatnot. We're going to be in the Superdome where they play the foosball. And this I showed you a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
This is part of the test that I had been given to go down there to make sure that I understand my white privilege the wheel of power and privilege right here.
Yeah, tell
Of
everybody,
course.
you were given this by your church group?
The synod, yeah,
synod. You need a new
that is
synod.
putting this on. Made everybody all the chaperones go through this
Unbelievable.
class. So of course, for those of you that don't have the video right now, of course, we'll go ahead and explain real quick. In the center of this circle is power. On the far outskirts is gender, citizenship, skin color,
Wow.
formal education, abilities, sexuality, neurodiversity. I like that one. Of course, we're looking at housing, wealth. As it goes in, of course, it goes from wealth to poor, middle class, rich, and more. So, yeah, I have to understand that I am somewhere in this center part here, and that I need to understand that my privilege needs to be checked. So I had to take this test, and boy, I tell you what, it was a biting your thumb type of moment. It was just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, that's my synod is putting that together. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan. But yeah,
I can honestly tell you,
but I had to show that to everybody because
I would never see that come out of our synod. I know that.
Yeah, well,
but
maybe I should be in your synod.
There you go. We'll definitely sign you up.
There you go. A long distance commute. There we go.
There you go. Every Sunday.
10:30.
We're having our church picnic coming up here in a couple weeks, so down to Cap.
There you go. Anyway,
hey, you can tell your wife I just have to go part of the church. Now I got to go.
See, I was thinking about getting this printed up as a target.
Perfect.
Because then you don't have to worry about hitting the center for the power. You can shoot around the edges. So I'm better at that.
Well, we did raise someone there. Look at there. Steve Borg Resistance. He says 100% communist church, all of them. Nothing but a communist devil worship.
There we go.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know what? We're about 20 minutes in. I think we ought to go to our first, as what Rush used to say, an obscene profit center. I don't know if it's so obscene for us.
It's not obscene for me. No. Are we doing a double or a quadruple?
Do a double. Let's thank our two main headliners.
All right, and we'll go ahead and hit the new thing we've got here real quick. So here we go.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Foundation.
Brother, hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota. Give them a call at 701-258-6308. The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308. 701-258-6308. Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy, Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
And we
All
are
right.
back.
Gunsin701.com. I got it. There we go. All right. Hey, we got more guys rolling in. That's good news. We got Steve Borg up there still. We got, of course, others as well. And we do appreciate you all listening. Gunsin701.com. Hey, by the way, of course, if you, we were talking about the police department as well. And of course, they are always armed to the hilt, but claiming they never have any money. But they tend to. Now, this one, I showed Clay off of the Reddit out of California. His license plate is California. And for those of you that are gun savvy, and take a look at that nice little machine that he's got on the back of his thing, suppressor and all. And of course, yeah, just out in the open. And of course, what is the phrase we said for me, but not for thee? So,
rules for thee, but not for thou.
there you go. Not for thou. There you go. So yeah, the California Highway Patrol right there, the chips, really ready for those victimless crimes out there to take down all the people speeding and whatnot. So ready to go. Ready to go.
I bet he ain't got a bullet button on his AR.
No, I bet you he doesn't as well.
You know, and don't even get me started on some of that. It's like when they got MRAPs and everything else. Is that really necessary, say in a rural county or anywhere really? But granted, there's good guys out there. Don't get me wrong.
No, I know.
You know, and the bad ones always make the good ones, you know, to overshadow it. But there's plenty of bad ones out there. I've met several of them. I've met some great ones. That's no secret. I've got no respect for speeding or for speed limits. Never will have. Don't care. I don't think they should exist. So I speed, and I never ever have any issue with that. But I do meet some. I've met some of the biggest jackasses around for it. But then I've also met great guys that way. So I guess there's good ones and there's bad ones and everything. So anyway, again, thanks to our sponsors. I want to make sure we thank both LAUER Auto Repair and Bloodline Kinetics. I got to get a hold of Jacob, by the way. See if our ARs got done. I don't know if they did or not.
I know. Check that out.
And of course, Mandan Sporting Goods and Little Angry Man Firearms. You want to go check them all out, guys. They got everything. I mean, we've got it covered. If you want a suppressor, if you want Class 3, I know Mandan Sporting Goods possesses a Class 3. Little Angry Man is down in South Dakota. If you want a suppressor in South Dakota, there you go. You get a hold of him. They got a great website. And you can get a hold of John right there at littleangrymanarms.com. John at littleangrymanarms.com and get you set up in South Dakota for a suppressor. If you need, and I know that they sponsor 701 Nation, and that's Double H Guns. They do more of the old stuff. They truly do. I found your ammo at his store.
Yeah, my 8mm.
Yeah, I mean, he really likes the lever actions, but it's always the older firearms. So we got some there. Mandan Sporting Goods carries everything, and I mean, I think they have the biggest ammo and reloading supplies I've ever seen inventory. Generally, if you can't find it there, it must be pretty tough to find.
I was looking at this for Jamie for his new ride vehicle through town. Is that something we can get at one of the places?
Yeah, I think it'd be perfect. It should be compliant, right?
That's compliant. There you go. So I like it that it's got cotton swab up in the top. I don't know what's up with that, but in the very front.
Well, plug it so that water don't run down.
There you go. That's what I like.
So anyway, all right. I'm gonna roll right into, and unless you wanted to grab one of them videos, otherwise I'm gonna go right into what's happening out in California.
Yeah, let's hit that.
So California, and as we all know, they're real pro gun out there, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So California has now passed a new tax on guns. The way it sounds, 11%. That's right, guys, 11%. It was Assembly Bill 28.
By the way, my symbol for 11%, right?
There you go. You got the double 11 right there, don't you?
There we go for them. It should be for them.
So essentially it's an excise tax of 11% on guns, all firearms. And of course, they think this is gonna slow down things. What I was wondering is does that apply to things like Friends of NRA banquets?
Yeah,
I bet it was out there. So now, this is in addition to the sales tax, which they already got horrible sales taxes across that whole state. Well, the Second Amendment Foundation said, nope, we're not going to take this lying down. They teamed up with the California Rifle and Pistol Association, the NRA. That's right, guys. That group that some say don't do nothing. They teamed up National Rifle Association, Firearms Policy Coalition, and two private citizens, because you got to have somebody to have standing. It's very important in a court case. You got to have standing. to file a lawsuit in San Diego County Superior Court. It's dubbed James versus Maduros. It takes aim at Nicholas Maduros, the big boss of the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration.
Right.
And I suppose James is one of the guys that's going to be the defendant in this.
Right.
Gottlieb, who is also a founder and executive VP of the Second Amendment Foundation, he says, here's what he said. We contend in a lawsuit that this 11% tax is unconstitutional because it literally taxes conduct protected by the Second Amendment. And he's right. He says there are no analogies evidence such a tax was ever applied at the time of the founding era as required by the 2022 Supreme Court. What ruling?
Bruin.
We should have T-shirts. It's all about Bruin.
Actually, we need a big Bruin sounder, like with
I love
confetti
it.
flying around. I got to work on that Bruin.
So I look at it like this. When it says shall not be infringed, right? Right there in the 27 words of the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. Well, putting an excise tax on an item, a gun, firearm,
Right.
protected under the Second Amendment, big part of the Second Amendment, right? Bearing arms.
Right.
To me, that's an infringement. Therefore, yes, it's going to be unconstitutional. It'd be like putting a poll tax on, which violates your voting rights, which they tried, and it was found unconstitutional. That's been tried in the United States. So the executive director, Adam Kraut of the Second Amendment Foundation, he also said the power to tax is literally the power to destroy. Assembly Bill 28 gives the state of California the power to destroy the exercise of a right protected by the Constitution by signaling it out for special taxation. If allowed to stand, this tax could be expanded, and he's right, and California could ultimately impose similar excise taxes on other constitutional rights it dislikes. This will not stop with a tax on the right to keep and bear arms. He's absolutely right. I mean, we kind of got stuff going on right now, even in the state of North Dakota. It always pisses me off that we have not just in the First Amendment the freedom to speech and the freedom to a religion. We also have the freedom to assembly. That means we have the right to assemble as a group, and then with our freedom of speech, go ahead and let our known thoughts be done in speeches with
Grievances.
speech itself.
Grievances. Yes.
We also can petition, and that can come in any form. So I get really torqued off when I go somewhere in Bismarck, especially, and they say, "Oh, well, you got to go get a little permit, and you're designated. This is your free speech area." No. The whole thing is our free speech area, all of it, everywhere. You don't have a right, especially on public ground, because you don't own it. State of North Dakota, the people own
do
it. So kiss our ass, okay? Kiss my rear end. And we kind of did tell them that. I've never gotten a permit when I've done anything around up there. I'm not going to. And usually you just tell them to go pound it, and they don't like it, but they leave.
Well, they don't like being called on it because that's what it is. They get all puffy and everything like that. But when they get called on it, I mean,
it's ludicrous that I have to get a permit to have an assembly for a speech. Talk about violating my First Amendment rights. Holy cow. Or when you're getting signatures on a petition, a grievance, like you mentioned, pick your subject. We've been involved with several of them up here. I can set that up anywhere. And it's always interesting to me to see how cops, especially, the worst are the sheriffs or the sheriff's department. They should know better because they should actually be protecting you. That's their job. And they'll come by and say, "Well, you can't set up here." Yeah, I can. It's a public space. No, you can't set up here and petition. Yeah, you actually can. In fact, that's a constitutional right. I've even had one tell me, "Well, that's not part of the First Amendment." I said, "Yeah, it's one of the 5 parts of the First Amendment. You should pull out your Constitution." And I usually pull mine out and show it to them.
Yeah.
But I've won most in battles. We got a guy up here that's really good at it. He sets up and sells his gear. He knows the law better than probably anybody, and he usually wins those battles. You do not need a permit to assemble. You do not need a permit to petition. Don't need a permit for freedom of speech. But in California, if this is allowed to stand, who knows? If no one stands up and takes a stand and gets an actual precedent set, could be.
Well, I mean, that's been a big thing is that people have to take a stand somewhere. You can't just sit back on all this stuff. That's the same thing goes with voting right now. I mean, you have to vote. I mean, for everybody out there that says, I don't care about the candidates, or I don't care about this,
You
or
should.
blah, 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 or this guy is this guy, and this guy is that way. And I'm like, doesn't matter what it is. You don't vote. I mean, there are so many people that have died out there to give you that right.
Yes,
to give
absolutely.
you that right. And
Lynette chimed in. She says, remember when Burgum took the right to prayer away by shutting churches down in 2020? Now, supposedly, he's going to be the top pick for VP. I hope he's not the top pick. I just
I think I got a button up here for that. There you go.
Dump Doug Indy. There you go.
There you go. So,
yes, I'm the guy that had that made up.
Lawler Auto won't mind us putting that there for just a little bit. So
you should have seen that when I had those made up and was passing them out.
Oh,
there were people trying to find out who had them made. Yes, it was me. I had them made, and I'd give them away for free to everybody I could.
Me.
Yes, it was. Anyway, yeah, everyone forgets about that Burgum. He not just violated that. He violated, that was freedom of religion. He violated so many rights on so many levels during China virus, and they had no right to do it. And then he'll pass it off and say, no, the North Dakota Health Department or Human Service, whatever. I call it health tyranny. They're the ones that did it. Eric Newman says, he can't take the right of prayer away. Prayer happens anywhere. It does, Eric. And I think what she was getting at is that she basically, he shut down the churches. They shut down the place you could worship, but yeah, you couldn't stop us from praying. You couldn't stop us from worshiping.
Right.
We didn't do any change. In fact, we had a big party here on April 30th, 2020, because that was Danelle's birthday, right here on our deck. And we invited everybody just to protest and saying, no, you know what? We will not comply. And we didn't. We had a lot of people show up, had a great time. And nobody got sick. Imagine that. But anyway.
Imagine that.
So I guess looking at this lawsuit out in California, I'm glad they're doing it. The lawsuit does call for the court to scrap the excise tax on guns and ammo. Yeah, that's right. It's about ammo too, saying it violates the Second Amendment. And they also want the state permanently banned from enforcing Assembly Bill 28 and to cover their legal costs, including attorney fees and fighting. Good for them. I'm glad. The legal team backing the Second Amendment Foundation, other plaintiffs includes attorneys Chuck Michael, Tiffany Chavant. There's a whole bunch of them. I guess I don't need to really name them all, but there's a lot of people involved in this. I bet you they're doing it pro bono, and I'm glad to see people like that get out there, get behind things, and support their rights and stand up. And
and we were
California,
talking
that has to happen more
before we went on the air. What is California this year since January to July or January to June? Over 500,000 gun sales have gone through in California. As tough as it is in California, and all the legal hurdles they put into you, and everything that after the fact when you buy a weapon or anything like that, all the hoops you got to jump through, and this and that. And you know what? 500,000 sales in this half year. And so think about that money too, that if they put 11 cents tax on that, I mean, where does that money go? I mean, it's not going to go to their regular coffers. It's going to go to it's going
to
go to
was that 500
agencies.
sales or was that actually 500,000 background checks? Do you remember?
Well, yeah, that it said sales, I thought.
Okay. I mean, and that's either way, it doesn't matter. That's a big number. If it was at background checks, you could have multiples. There might have been a person bought 2 guns or a handgun and a rifle. I mean, it could be a lot of things. 11 CP or C1P. Doesn't matter if we win every court decision. Most so-called law enforcement agencies are so anti-gun, they will only follow directives like they ignore the ones that they don't. And you're right. I see that. We were talking about that earlier. I do have an issue with that. So many cops, and I've heard, and I always tell them, even the guys I know, I was just doing my job. I said, well, then you suck at your job. Because your first job should be to protect the people, not to protect your agency, not to protect the police department's protocols. No, your first and foremost job is to protect the people, the people. And if you have to infringe on a person's rights to carry out a directive, either from your captain or your police department or your sheriff, then it's time for you to stand up to them and make a change. You might lose your job, but you know what? Defending freedom's tough sometimes. Some people even gave a little bit more than that to protect freedom. Their life, a limb. I mean, losing your job's nothing. Stand up to these tyrants, because that's what they are. And you're right. Doesn't matter. And unfortunately, I see so many of these new guys coming out of these police academies with attitudes that are horrendous. They really are. Not all of them. There's good ones out there. But if you're not standing up against your department or your captain or whatever it may be, when you know something is in complete violation of a person's constitutional right, you're now the problem too.
And you know, one of the things, a very young Mike was when I was going into the Marine Corps, MOS for military police, because I wanted to bypass patrolmen and all that once I got out of the service to be able to move up. And one of the things that was said to me many times by guys that have been in forever was that, well, the problem is that you're going to go in with these ideas of right, and you're going to get beat down. And now you're either going to become exactly like the guys that are shirking the duties,
right?
Or you're going to be so disgruntled and angry and upset that you're going to be that guy that, you know, is always on the edge, that has a terrible marriage and everything else because he takes everything home and he bottles it up, or you're just going to blow your brains out. And that's usually what it is, or quit. But, you know, it's one of those things where that was said to me by so many different people at a young age going into that it was just amazing to me. That, yeah, it's like, you know, to do the right thing is apparently the wrong thing when it comes to the way everybody else acts. And I'm like, you know, it goes back to the old Serpico thing. You know, it's like the guy did the right thing, but you know what? He paid for it. He did. Yeah. He paid for it.
They did. They did.
And there's a lot of guys and girls out there that have served in the blue and have paid for telling the truth and the right.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, you know, that whole, you know,
we saw it during China virus.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of people pay for speaking the truth. And now everything they said, guess what? It's coming true. A lot of it was true. And, you know, to me, what we saw happen, now I'm not saying people didn't die during China virus. Might even died from the virus. But there was a lot of people who died because of the vaccine, which is not a vaccine. It's a shot. It's an mRNA shot. It's not a vaccine. It's a gene therapy shot. Unproven, untested, and we're seeing a lot of side effects now. And it's undeniable now. I mean, you're seeing it. You're hearing it. People are finally going, oh, yeah, you know what? 20 and 30-year-olds shouldn't just be dropping over dead, and it's happening. So, yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, I like that. I like that one right there. Just doing their job didn't fly at Nuremberg. Also, their primary job is to follow the Constitution. That's in reference to the police. That's in reference to anybody in power, really, or with anybody with that kind of power. You should always be representing the people and their protection, if that's the case, if you're in law enforcement. And I still, how many times have you heard me say this, Mike? Yeah. Things changed drastically when we went from peace officers to law enforcement officers. Mm-hmm. Big, huge change. Terminology means everything. So does designation. And it truly does. And it changes the whole narrative when you just make that little bitty change.
We're going to have to hit another commercial here soon. We went pretty.
Yeah, go for it.
So we'll be back in just a few moments. Of course, don't forget we've got a badass of the week coming up for tonight as well. Not as long as the normal ones, but a good one none to boot. We've got a couple good subjects we want to cover right around the corner, so we'll pick that up. We want to do a quadruple on this one, bud?
Yeah, let's thank all of them, and we'll be right back after about, 3.5 minutes?
That's right.
Perfect.
For every and any situation, Little Angry Man Arms LLC has you covered. Top-notch guns from top-name brands like Winchester, Glock, Sig Sauer, and Ruger to essential extras from Magpul, Streamlight, Hollow, Sun Optics, and more. Little Angry Man Arms LLC have everything to make your shooting adventures a success. Visit littleangrymanarms.com today and gear up for your next big hunt, competition, or home defense. Don't miss out on our exclusive deals. Little Angry Man Arms, LLC, based in Trail City, South Dakota, your ultimate hunting partner.
Oh, I hit the wrong button here. I'll do that again.
309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota. Give them a call at 701-258-6308. The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308. 701-258-6308. Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber, rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy. Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
Ever tried catching a fish with your bare hands or hunting a deer with a stick? Don't be that guy. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we've got all the hunting and camping gear you need. We're your one-stop shop for outdoor adventure.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Check us out at mandansportinggoods.com, or better yet, stop in to 210 East Main Street, Mandan, North Dakota. Mandan Sporting Goods, where the outdoors meets functionality. Store hours, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Closed Sunday. Take up arms at Mandan Sporting Goods. Your adventure starts here.
Looking for the best gun gear for every and any situation? Little Angry Man Arms LLC has you covered. Top-notch guns from top-name brands like Winchester, Glock, Sig Sauer, and Ruger to essential extras from Magpul, Streamlight, Hollow, Sun Optics, and more. Little Angry Man Arms LLC have everything to make your shooting adventures a success. Visit littleangrymanarms.com today and gear up for your next big hunt, competition, or home defense. Don't miss out on our exclusive deals. Little Angry Man Arms LLC, based in Trail City, South Dakota, your ultimate hunting partner.
Yeah, hey, look, I got the moves like Michael, the flow like Aubrey, walk around thinking I'm a prince like Saudi. Mismatched Converse, t-shirts tucked in, know my worth, can't tell me nothing. White Nikes, albino, can cop my stilo, head to the top, bottom line is a motto.
And we're back. We went a little long there. We had a little mess ups there, but
That's all right.
okay.
It's a learning thing, isn't it? So
Hey, we're not pros, are we?
no, we don't. We're not paid like pros, that's for sure. But anyway,
So I tell you what, I want to jump right to something. I want to go to this GOP party platform thing,
right?
Because it's not going to take very long, and I think it's something we might even discuss on Friday to clear the air with the people on K Fire as well. So. Why don't you kind of take it? What did you find from the reload?
So what I found from the reload, so if I want to share a screen here real quick, there we go. From the reload.com, I found this little thing. I'm going to make sure that I've got it zoomed, I guess. But they've got they say their 2024 Republican platform drops gun right promises. And they say in here where they stripped out finalized document, lean into President Donald Trump's America First outlook and parrots many of its stances. Republican Party platform downplaying the Second Amendment issues is coming in. So I caught this coming across my streams, and I was kind of a little caught off guard with that one. So I had to call you up on that because it's always good to check your sources and whatnot. So we were going through that, and so it's not true. It's a very, very Second Amendment looking web page, but I question. I have to do a little search into the background of the reload.
They don't have bad information. I mean, I think the person who wrote this particular one was kind of pissed, probably because it isn't what it was in the previous platform. That is true. Okay, but they did not remove the Second Amendment. If you read the new platform, honestly, guys, what is this thing? It's 16 pages.
Right.
The other one was, I forget, 34. And I can see what they streamlined it, and I like to say they probably dumbed it down for the low information voter. Is that a good way to put it?
That's a good way. I mean, we have to call it what it is. There is a lot of low information voters out there. So, we always say we're informed. But
I'm going to share this with everybody because I can tell you right now, I got this completely from somebody who was there. Okay. I'll just put it that way. I got this entirely from somebody who was there. They sent this. I asked to see it because I heard about it. And I'm going to turn the chats off, everybody, just because I want everybody to see this. So it's a 20-point deal. It is. It's like a bullet point thing. It's 16 pages long. But look at number 7. Some of you'll be able to see it, some won't. For our iPod or for our iHeart listeners, podcast listeners, number 7 says, defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and right to keep and bear arms. Well, that don't look like it was eliminated to me. How about you, Mike?
Number 7 in there, but no, it's there.
It is absolutely there. I mean, some of the other ones are, seal the border, deportation, and inflation. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this thing that are a lot of the same things that President Trump gives in his speeches. If you've ever been to one of his speeches, I have. Trust me, it's right there. And yes, your president or your nominee to be will be setting the platform. Now, remember, Laura Trump is essentially the chairman, some kind of a co-chairman thing.
Co-chair.
But, I mean, in all reality, this is probably Trump's agenda, right? Not bad. I don't see anything bad in this as far as what people are calling it. I was a little miffed that they took out the right to life language that used to be in there and a call for a national ban on abortions. Okay. Well, you know what? That was decided. When we had 4 years ago the convention, guess what? That Roe versus Wade was still in place, right?
No, it's
Roe
not.
versus Wade is not in place anymore. Therefore, everything's been kicked back to the states. And I can see why it would probably be eliminated from your national platform at this point, unless you as a party in the national sense are going to start lobbying Congress to pass an actual federal ban on abortions, which go for it, or a constitutional amendment to ban the killing of little babies. I'm not saying I'm against that. I say go for it. But that is not where I see the RNC going right now at the moment. So what do? Kick it to the states? Let's do the same thing. Let's kick this to our state GOPs. Make sure it gets in our platforms and make sure our states are shored up first, maybe. Maybe that's what you need to do.
Right.
So I'm not as upset as some of these people. And I can tell you right now, they dumbed it down. They did. They put it for the lowest common denominator. It's easy to read. It's easy to understand. It's to the point. They don't go into this grandeur of defining everything. So is it bad? No. I can tell you this, though, from the people that were there, and it's represented in those 18 votes that voted against adopting this compared to the 84, it was kind of rammed through, okay? They didn't get a lot of notice. They didn't even see it till it was like last-minute stuff, just like Congress does. They weren't transparent about it. And I imagine that probably the walking orders were pass this, get it passed, and do what you need to. Okay.
Right.
It's like him or love him. That's how Trump gets stuff done. Okay. And I'm going to be the first one to admit I did stuff like that, didn't I, Mike, when we needed to do it within.
We needed to do it. But you know what you were thinking, like when we were talking to a couple of the politicians that were running, you've got to think about down the road as well. Sometimes you got to take the 25% victories of the 100% that you're putting out there and move and build on that. You can't expect to win every single battle and then move from there. No, you're going to
So,
lose stuff.
I had this discussion 2 days ago with someone pretty upset about it because
Right.
we saw this because it was being passed, and then we saw the rough draft then because we had people there.
Right.
And I asked that person, I go, so the other platform that we had 4 years ago, yep, what'd you think of that? Oh, it's great. I said, how much of that did we accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I said, election integrity's in there. Guess what? We didn't get shit done. I mean, there's some things have been done, but I don't think enough. I mean, even in North Dakota, we couldn't accomplish what we wanted. We were told we had the most secure election in North Dakota, which is false. There's always fraud. I don't care what state it's in. Now, is that fraud big enough to cause problems? That's what you got to find out. And you're never going to stop it all. You're never going to stop at all. When someone's determined to do something, they're probably going to do it, aren't they, Mike?
Well, and we were talking about, I took it off right now. Of course, I had that map up there of states with licenses. We have to have licenses to go vote, and states that don't. And of course, I think we're in the states that do have to have licenses to vote, but there are a ton
Voter
that
ID,
don't.
yep.
Voter ID, and
now in North Dakota, you can get a free voter ID card. Okay, they always make it sound like it's not. It's so hard. It's not hard to get. You just got to prove you're a resident. You got to prove that you're a citizen. Not that tough. And then you get your free ID card, so you can go vote.
And we shouldn't have to do that, but we do. There's a reason we do, because of voter integrity. We have to. Yes. We have to have that.
Yeah, it's when that all started coming out, I'm a big constitutionalist, and the idea that I should have if I don't got an ID, I mean, I can't vote. Let's come to that point. Unless you're going to go to a machine that has facial recognition, which I don't want.
No, I don't want that.
I don't know how else you do it to ensure, because when you open your border up to millions and millions of illegal aliens, I guess we're going to have some form of ID that shows that we are United States citizens. Now, I always get pushed back on that. Well, they can get a fake ID. Absolutely they can, but not all of them. And right now, all of them, just about all of them, depending on where they go, they're being allowed. New York City, you can vote in the local elections as an illegal alien, not even a resident of the state, the city, and definitely not a citizen of this country. That's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Let's put this up here. A few years back, one of the reservations had every single eligible voter voting for Heidi. I wouldn't necessarily doubt that the res would vote 100% blue. I do doubt that they had that good turnout. I'm with you. I looked at those districts too, and even me, I live in the heart of the Standing Rock Indian Reservation. I guarantee you, this is never going to be a 100% vote for the Democrat here, because I live here. I guarantee you, I'm not going to vote that way. So if it ever came up that way, I know there's fraud somewhere. Joe's ship is sinking faster than the Titanic. It sure is. Yeah, we haven't even addressed that. Well, I'm going to wrap this up about the platform. I believe the platform is strong. Okay. I don't like the way that it was rammed through, according to the people I know that participated in the process. I don't think that it caved on the Second Amendment. I think it lumped it all in under freedoms.
Okay? Right.
They simplified it. They streamlined it. It's, like I said, about a 16-page document now. Well, what's wrong with that? Why do we need these big manifestos that are 50, 30, 100 pages long? We don't. So, and it was never that long. I'm making a point that I'm okay with this.
But it's like laws. Laws have been, you add so much to it. And of course, I sent you something today. I can't remember what it was, but it was, of course, when you lump things into laws, you dilute it, and then you take away some of the people that want to vote for it because they don't want to vote for one thing. They want to vote for one thing, but they don't want to vote for the other. And that's why they do it. Both parties are doing that against each other, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I think there should be up and down votes. And
I do too.
If they say, well, we can't get our job done, well, then you need to step aside and let somebody else get in there who can dedicate themselves to that instead of dedicating themselves to political campaigns.
It's like continuing resolutions. You know why they do that? It's on purpose. Both sides. They do want an actual budget. They like kicking this can down the road because right away I've heard our own reps, I've heard our own senators. Yeah, come September we'll probably be here again. Why? Why don't you make a budget? Why don't you submit some? I mean, you can do that. The House is the one who passes the spending bills. So I think they like it because then guess what happens in those big continuing resolutions? They put stuff in there that would never, ever, ever pass probably in a straight up and down budget fight.
Yeah.
And then they, don't blow smoke up my rear. When you come back, well, we cut the budget. No, you did not.
Clay, look at how much I brought back to the States.
Yeah, well, I don't want it. I want you to go in there and spend less than you did the year before. That's cutting the budget. That's what real people have to do. I'm telling you right now, when you come back and say, well, we cut the budget. No, you cut the rate of spending. Rather than spending 20% more, you spent 19% more with a 1% decrease and said, hey, I cut the budget. No, you didn't. I want you to spend, I want you to decrease the 20% increase that you want and take another 20 out. Let's see a 40% off of that number. Now you cut the budget. And that's what you do. This is just a bunch of crap. And they can start with what I'm with Trump. I want the Department of Education, along with other ones, eliminated. Should have never come about. Should have never existed in the first place, because look what it has become. If you take the federal money, they're dictating their ideologies to your local schools. And if they take the money, they got to do it.
Just like the roads. Just like
roads, everything. Yeah. Just they need to kick the.
You're telling me that in our states, that we can't come up with the money to fix our roads. Now
I know in North Dakota we could.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. And here's the other thing is that, well, we need this to fix our bridges. Well, you're not fixing bridges. So you tell me where all that money that you're fixing bridges is going to, because it's not going to where you're saying.
Well, it's just like in South Dakota, was that the last session when they passed the, what was it, a cent or a half cent sales tax for teacher pay, right?
Right.
But it wasn't designated for teacher pay. That's what its intention was for. Went to the general fund, and a lot of schools did not give that, right? So the money went in, the money got spent, and now I see South Dakota decided, oh, that didn't work. So now they went and said, you're going to hit the state minimum. Every teacher needs to make $45,000 minimum now. Did you see that?
Well, let me go ahead and tell you one more on that one. So back when the Obama thing was in place, they passed a law in both houses that if you did not make a certain amount as a salary employee, they were going to bump us all up to a certain thing, which was actually higher than what I was making at the time. But I know that radio corporations ended up getting an exemption from that. I know that apparently everybody else must have got an exemption from it, because I don't know anybody who got bumped up because of that law. That's a law sitting on the books.
I know,
but apparently it doesn't mean anything. So why was it even done? So
I think that was petitioned by people and put on the ballot, wasn't it? Wasn't that like
something like that?
And the thing is it never sunsets, and it's either it's so much this or a percentage of GDP or something. It's like, I tell you what, you want to see why you want to know why you got a bunch more kiosks showing up? That's why, stuff like that. But yeah, and we're getting off subject, but I'm gonna get a couple of these comments here. I like this one here. Well, it says here. The bureaucracy doesn't even need laws anymore. Look at the ATF making interpretations and decisions that have nothing to do with the law, making de facto law by themselves. Absolutely. That's exactly, and that's why the ATF and the Department of Justice, Trump gets in there. I have no doubt he's going to gut that place. Say what you will about Trump, but when he's pissed, he will come after you. And I guarantee you, after what they've done to him in the Justice Department, with everything going on, he's going to gut that place, and they should. I don't think we need an ATF myself. Doug Thompson, yes, he says, if it's not a balanced budget, it should never be passed. You can't spend more than you bring in. Cut foreign aid. Cut foreign aid.
I've said that many times. It's like, you know what? There are bases and whatnot that we have in other countries and this and that. I understand the whole tit for tat on that stuff, but I wish I had the picture. I had a great picture for you that would explain this. It was a picture of an African town that we gave money to, and it was a pretty impoverished South African town. And then they showed the picture after the trillions of dollars given to the South African aid and whatnot. It was the same crap shit town, but it had nice cars.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and that's the way
Money
I
don't-
think about it, because this is going to people that doesn't need to go to, and we're the ones being punished for it. And it drives me crazy.
Throwing money at issues doesn't necessarily solve it, unless that was the problem. Lack of funding, but that isn't generally the problem. Lynette says, she goes, Clay, would you support Vivek? He wants to get rid of the FBI, CIA, and Department of Ed. He's my pick for VP, but has no chance. So here's the thing with Vivek. I like what Vivek says. I am all for getting rid of the FBI, the CIA, and the Department of Ed. In fact, if it was me going in there, I'd gut probably most of them agencies. Bureau of Rec, Department of Interior, all of them, because they have no place in our federal government. It wasn't the function of federal government. Now, could you replace them with other things? Yeah, but I think you have to have some kind of a transparency with an oversight. That's the problem. They're not transparent, and there's no oversight. And luckily, the Chevron case that just got overturned in the Supreme Court is going to help us with that. When that was in existence, and we went over this, go ahead and look up the Chevron case.
Right.
It allowed these bureaucrats, being there was no law and there was nothing that said they couldn't, it deferred to the agency. Nah, that's really?
Deferred to the agency. I'm like,
and we've had that for decades, since the 80s when that happened. So we've got 30 to 40 years of now. The default was to the agency, the bureaucratic agency, to make the decision as to what happens. Pick your case. It could be an environmental impact study. It could be the Endangered Species Act, things like that, things that have all expired, by the way.
I personally, I'm not about a Vivek, and I know Lynette's a good girl, but I'm not about Vivek. I don't trust him. I don't trust him because I think he's full of shit. I need to know more about this. I think he's all about making himself on the public platform in order to get his talk shows and this and that. By the way, here's what I had for you earlier. So,
at one point, all driving looks like Escalades or something.
Same crap, but now we're all driving Range Rovers. There we go. So yeah, I finally found it. So there you go.
So yeah, Vivek is an interesting person. He's got a lot to prove yet. I'm pretty sure that's why he's not in the running for a VP pick.
Right.
And not just that. Trump's VP pick is going to be, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be Burgum or not. I think Vance has a good, even though you can't listen to the media. Trump's going to do what Trump wants to do. I think Trump made the decision a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's going to be somebody who's going to compliment him, okay? And they're not going to defy him. He's going to have to trust them. That's why I don't know if Burgum has really built his trust. Maybe he has. I can tell you what Burgum does bring. Burgum brings money.
Yeah.
And connections. And I don't know if that's good or bad. His connections ain't great. But, Trump has a respect for businessmen. Okay? He probably admired the way that Burgum got elected the first time. He went outside of the ranks. He went to the state convention, said, piss on it. I'm going around that, and I'm just going to run. And he did, and he won. And we all voted for him. I voted for him that first time because I thought he was an outsider. All right, here's a businessman. He's an outsider. He's defying the establishment. Boy, were we wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And I have not voted for him since. I can tell you that as far as Burgum goes. I can tell you, though, that with Vivek, he's got a lot more to prove. He's new to this scene. I don't know if I trust him, if I don't trust him. I like what he says, but I just don't know if I trust what he says. That makes sense? What she says. She says, Lynette says, I've been listening to his Truth podcast. He is very smart, a very smart millennial, and he'll be here for a long time. I think you're right, Lynette. I think he's going to be here for a long time. I think he's very intelligent. You don't get where he's at his age by being dumb. He is a smart guy. But let's just see where he goes. Honestly, I don't know. I need to know more about him. I think he has a place, definitely has a place, and that will help. If Trump puts him in his circle, that's probably not a bad thing, but he's got to be willing to get rid of him, and I think he would if he doesn't turn out to be who he is. That's the big thing.
Right.
I think that's where honestly, Mike, I think that's where you put Vivek. Put him somewhere in your administration, not necessarily a cabinet position, but put him in there, give him some tasks, see what he does with it, and then we make decisions about him. I'm not going to write him off. I like Vivek. I like what he says, but I don't know if I trust what he says. That's the problem. I've heard I've been in this arena a long time, and I've heard politicians tell me everything and deliver on very little. So yeah. Looks like the Africa pick when they show Rome and Greece 2,000 years ago in Africa today.
Yeah.
That's and your deal here. So, despite what everyone is saying, this is 11C1P. I'll put that up there. Despite what everyone is saying for VP not mattering, I disagree. As we know, Trump will only have one more term going forward. We need a very electable VP for presidential race in 2028. I think the VP probably matters more than it ever has in a presidential cycle. Now, in what capacity? I don't think it's going to be anybody. Trump's not going to prop somebody up to be the next president. He's not going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it. As much as I like Trump, his ego's huge. Okay. So I don't think that's even on his mind. He's looking for someone that's going to deliver votes, possibly. Compliment him, and I don't mean compliment like, hey, Mr. I mean compliment his style, compliment his agenda, and be on board. So I don't know if it's it's going to be important in some aspects, but then again, I don't know if it's going to be important to the next race. I think you're going to see that 2028 presidential race be one of the biggest primaries in the GOP you've ever seen. I guarantee you Nikki Haley's coming back.
Right.
I think DeSantis will be back. I wasn't against DeSantis. I just didn't think it was his time. And you know what? He made some stupid comments and mistakes in this candidacy. Let's see if he can correct them. Now, he went back to Florida and he's done some good things again. He's done some shitty things too. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that 2028 thing, I really look, and I won't be in 2028. I doubt it. But I think Donald Trump Jr. someday will run. I truly do. He's stayed active. He stayed involved with his dad's campaign here as of recent. He's the only one of the kids that really got active in this campaign that I can remember. I really could see Donald Trump Jr. Going for a run someday as president, but who knows? Maybe he'll try something else first. Maybe he'll run for the Senate. He might. You know what? Think about it. Just to say, can you think about this? Think if DeSantis runs for governor and wins, or runs for president and wins. Do you think that Donald Trump Jr. will step up and run for governor?
Well, I guess, he's got the residency, doesn't he? So
he's got the residency, he's got the resume, and he knows how to do it. Yeah. And let's not forget, Trump created a super PAC. Guys, it's real. It's out there. Raises millions and millions and millions of dollars to support candidates for that conservative agenda. So, you know what? This is so uncharted waters from what I've seen from the time I've been involved. And I've been involved since I was 18 plus years old. Yeah. So, I mean, it's I've never seen a cycle like this. I don't know. Let's put this up here. Yeah, he says, I know Trump doesn't care about 2028, but I do. I do too. I was really hoping that Trump would pick somebody that would do exactly what you talked about. Set them up for the next cycle. But he's not going to.
No, it's not his style.
And I think he made his choice a long time ago. I truly do. I think he's been playing it. You know what I wish he'd do? I wish he'd just get up at the RNC and give his speech, accept the nomination, and be done and go home.
And not tell anybody?
Well, no. Well, there's a reason, though. I want these guys to keep burning Biden down because Biden's staying in this race. I know everybody. I'm not. I listened to Clay and Buck show today. One thinks he's going to get out. One thinks he's not. He's not getting out. Biden's staying in this thing. And they almost got to go with him at this point. What happens between now and then? I don't know. I don't think Biden wins unless they can cheat, and I don't know.
I think they've paid for the animatronics for him for the end of the year, so they've got to keep him in. And you're not getting your deposit back.
And how do they handle this, Mike? What will be the first time ever that the vice president's passed over for somebody else? Do you think that's going to set well with Democrats?
And they are trying to tout up Kamala, but you know what? That is a losing prospect, and they know it.
They know she polls worse than Biden.
I have no idea why they even are entertaining it because it's just not. She's not. I hate to say this. She's not Obama.
No, she's not electable.
She's not electable. She's not going to get it done. She can't speak. She doesn't have a brain in her head. Oh,
well, she was on her knees most of the time getting what she
Ow.
got. But anyway, the problem with Kamala is though, you have this, here's your vice president. You chose her, Biden. Now what? You pass her over. You have a party full of whack jobs that are of her descent. They're female, probably have an ideology like hers. Do they vote for you, for your candidate, if you pass over the vice president, who technically should be in line?
Mm-hmm.
But we know she's an anti-gunner. I mean, that disqualifies her for me no matter what anyway.
Right.
Any Democrat that's anti-gun, you're out the door. But I mean, I got other issues too. But gun issue is a big thing to me.
Yeah, huge.
But Joe ain't leaving on his own. Joe is an egotistical bastard too. Okay, he has a head that's swelled up bigger than a watermelon, and he's always been a piece of crap. I mean, name me one piece of legislation that he's ever really passed that was significant.
Well, he passed that tougher crime bill, but that didn't work out well. I mean,
everything he's done's been a failure. Okay, and that's what I was getting at. So Joe is a poor candidate anyway. They pulled him and tugged him across the line in 2020, did a little cheating along the way, and boom, he become the president barely. In some of them swing states, you realize that, was it Wisconsin? It was only 43,000 difference between Trump and Biden. And it was after 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning. Otherwise, Trump was winning. And that thing you've seen is real. It almost imitates all 6 of those states, but we're not going to go down that road. We're at 2024 now. I think Trump, he can handily beat Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Even with the fraud. I don't think there's anybody the Democrats could pick. So I think they're going to go with him. If he wins and squeaks one out, they're going to be overwhelmed. And then you're going to see him take the office in January, and he's going to be out in a month. I don't know. You know what I could see happening? I could see them replacing the vice president candidate. And they could do that at their convention.
And they probably will.
They just might. And that would be the setup then for a Biden victory.
Well, and they'll, you know what they'll say? They'll say that Kamala's stepping down to be closer to her family.
They'll come up with something, but
something. I don't know, whatever.
It'll be interesting. I think you could see a contested Democrat convention, but on the vice presidential nominee, not the president. We'll see. This is a very unusual cycle. All right, so we got.
I think we got to hit one more commercials, and then we
thing here.
Got to do the badass here.
Yeah. Joe will go directly on display down in Disney World's Hall of Presidents. No modifications necessary. And with that,
welcome to Disney World. Welcome.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's take a break. Let's do our double headline, and then we'll come back and do badass.
All right, we got it.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Bandit.
Brother. Hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota. Give them a call at 701-258-6308. The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308. 701-258-6308. Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy, Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
And we are
back.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks again. He's Guns in the 701, powered by Lauer Auto Repair. Speaking of that, I got to get a hold of Axe, and I think I got some work for him on my Dodge again. He's going to get sick of that.
Well, you do have a Dodge after all.
I got a Dodge. What can you say? But
actually, I've got my my Exploder right now, as my son calls it, an Explorer. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it, because every time I step on the gas, it's like slow. We'll pick back up speed. And I'm kind of like one of those situations where you're afraid to get in an intersection because you're going to be like all of a sudden get T-boned because you're. Well, it sounds injector. I don't know. I was thinking injector, but I wasn't sure.
Well, your father-in-law's a mechanic.
He is, but he's 73 now, and he's hunting and fishing all the time, so he doesn't have as much time.
Is that the one you rolled?
Yeah, that's the one I rolled coming home. Right. It used to be my wife's. Yeah, that's right. So.
Well, there, if Axe is listening, maybe he can give you some insight. I don't know if they still got like a throttle body control.
I don't know. I have to take a look. But, I'm wondering if my AAA will tow it all the way up to Axe's. So we'll have to see.
Well, you just start your way up here and break down. And then
break down. Hey, so we've got our Badass of the Week. And I've got you set for next week when I'm not here. I am going to try to come in and maybe if I can get signal down in New Orleans. Yeah. New Orleans. But I've got you a badass set up for next week. I got a badass for this week. And so I want to go ahead and get the badass out here real quick. And it's only about 6.5 minutes long. So we still got some time and then we come back and talk a little bit. So are we ready?
I'm going to add something too, guys. I've been working on getting the badasses that we did not have on our YouTube channel and on Rumble, getting them on there. If you notice, they've been showing up. And they're in a playlist. So on CommieTube, just hit playlist Badass of the Week, and they're all going to be there eventually. Most of them are there now. So just so everyone knows, and don't be surprised. It looks like we got this event thing done when we create an event, and it goes, live streams when we're gone, which is great, right?
Right.
And I've been doing that with the badasses after we play them here. So look for that in the next couple of days. And
make sure you share them. Yeah, share them as well.
All right. Take it away.
All right. Badass of the Week coming up right now on gunsinthe701.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from gunsinthe701.com and our weekly Badass of the Week. Every week we try to go deep into history and find one of those badasses you might have forgotten about but needs to be remembered because they are living up to the title of badass. The unlikely adventures of Zenaida Portnova. Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Leningrad, lived a spirited young girl named Zenaida Portnova. Zenaida, or Zena, as her friends called her, was just an ordinary teenager with an extraordinary destiny waiting to unfold. In the summer of 1941, Zena and her younger sister were sent to their grandmother's house in the village of Zhu, near Albol in northern Belarus. Little did they know, their peaceful summer vacation was about to be interrupted by the Nazi invasion into the Soviet Union.
Nobody invites the
Nazis, but they always seem to want to come into your place, right? Jerks. One day, Zina was helping her grandmother with cattle. A group of Nazi soldiers arrived and they tried to confiscate the family's cattle and in the process hit her grandmother. This incident sparked a fire in Zina's heart and she decided then and there, no more Miss Nice Zina. Zina joined the local underground Komsomol organization in Obol, known as the Young Avengers. No, it's not a Marvel thing. This is a long time ago, so no copyright infringement. Thank you very much. Anyway, she began by distributing Soviet propaganda leaflets in German-occupied Belarus, collecting and hiding weapons for Soviet soldiers, and reporting on German troop movements. After learning how to use weapons and explosives from older members of the group, Portnova participated in sabotage actions at pumps, local power plants, and brick factories. These acts were estimated to have killed upwards of 100 German soldiers. It is said as she planted explosives, she couldn't help but whisper,
"Lights out, gentlemen."
But Zina's most legendary operation was yet to come. Now, she infiltrated a Nazi garrison as a kitchen aide and poisoned the food meant for the soldiers. When the soldiers fell ill, suspicion fell on Zina. Now, to prove her innocence, she ate some of the food herself. She later felt sick, but managed to recover after drinking a lot of whey. Talk about a stomach of steel. Now, after she did not return to work, the Germans realized that she had been the culprit and started searching for her. To avoid the Germans, she became a scout of the partisan unit named after Klement Voroslav. In a letter sent to her parents back in besieged Leningrad that month, she wrote that she is
in a partisan detachment. Together with you, we will beat the Nazi occupiers.
See, this is why I chose her as a badass. In December 1943, Portnova was sent back to Obol to infiltrate another German garrison, discover the reason for the recent Young Avengers failures, then locate and contact the remaining members. But she was quickly captured. Reports of her escape is that during a Gestapo interrogation in the village of Goriani, she took an investigator's pistol off the table, then shot and killed him. When two German soldiers entered after hearing the gunshot, she shot them as well. She then attempted to escape the compound and ran into the woods where, unfortunately, she was caught near the banks of the river. After being recaptured, Portnova was tortured, possibly for information, but she gave none. She was later driven into the forest and executed. Despite her capture and tragic end at the age of 17, Zinaida Portnova's spirit lived on. On July 1st, 1958, Portnova was posthumously declared a hero of the Soviet Union. She also received the Order of Lenin in 1969. She also had numerous young pioneer groups named in her honor. And so, the tale of brave Zinaida Portnova, the unlikely hero and the bane of Nazis, continues to inspire generations. And remember, never underestimate the power of a teenager with a cause and a good recipe for poison. Zinaida Portnova, 100% tried and true, a badass. Hey, we thank you guys and gals for tuning in for GunsInThe701.com's and our Badass of the Week. Every week we try to bring you a new badass in history, somebody who just goes above and beyond in the badassery field. But it's not always easy to find. So if you've got somebody in history that is a badass and you'd like us to do a story on them, make sure you give us a buzz. Drop us a line. Send us an email to guns@gunsinthe701.com. That's GUNS at gunsinthe701.com. We'll get your badass story out there and share it on all our social media platforms. And speaking about social media platforms, see that QR code up there? Well, one of the ways we stay on the air, on the internet, and give you new stories every week is by your donations. Now, we can always use a little bit or anything you can spare. That QR code up there will let you donate something right away. And whatever amount you've got, we'll be happy with because it helps us upgrade our equipment, get us studio time, and all the other good stuff. Also, while you're at it, check out all our merch at GunsInThe701.com. We've also got our back catalog of GunsInThe701.com, our weekly Wednesday show. Also, Jamie with 701 Nation and the back catalog for Badass of the Week. That's all at GunsInThe701.com. Well, until next week, we do appreciate, and remember, as my buddy Clay always says, keep your powder dry And stay safe, you bunch of badasses.
Wow, another good one, Mike.
Did you like that one?
She kind of was a badass, wasn't
It was a badass. And you see, here's the thing I think about, though. When we think about our country and the way it's going right now, what I don't want is for me to be dead and you to be dead, and our kids have to going through that crap in order to carry on the fight. I mean, I'd rather that we not get to that point. So
you and me both.
What do you think about it, though?
Rather be here, live out my life, and watch my kids grow up and then my grandkids. But
there you go.
I will get involved if it comes down to a fight for freedom, and you know I will. I hope there's a lot of us. I think there is. We're not there yet. I don't think we're there yet. This election, I don't know. It's scary. You know, everyone says, "Oh, it's the most important election of our lifetime." It is actually. This time, it actually is. Yeah, Doug says, "Mike, start by cleaning the mass airflow sensor and the throttle body." Just
There you go. All right. Well, actually, I'll pass that on to Jack because he's got all the tools in the garage and everything, so he does everything for me now. He's my axle.
He's your axe.
He's my axe.
So, by the way, we are. We'll talk about that. We do that here now. We're talking about a little bit about the hog hunt, maybe in a couple of years. So
there we go. Yeah.
Speaking of that, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. What do we? Why don't we just? We're at about an hour and a half here, and again, we want to thank our great sponsors, Lauer Auto Repair. Again, 309 South Washington Street down there in Bismarck, North Dakota. If you're off the expressway coming into Bismarck, all you got to do is hit Washington, head north, and you're going to run right into Lauer Auto Repair. And check in there. They got a great shop. They do some great work. 701-258-6308. And I'll tell you, ask the guys there. They've been with us since day one. So we want to thank them for taking care of us and helping keep us on the air. And, of course, you guys have all seen, I'm sure, the videos that Jamie and Axe do. Well, that's your guy right there. He's owner there, part owner of Lauer Auto Repair. Of course, we are the great sponsors, Bloodline Kinetics, Mandan Sporting Goods, and Little Angry Man Arms. I'll have to call John over there, see what he's got. I'm always looking for another gun. Why not? Right?
You're always looking. Well, I'm actually looking at suppressors right now because I got, of course, you can't technically shoot in the city limits here in the town. But we've had some feral raccoons and whatnot around. And so, it's one of those things where it's like, pop them. And if you can't hear it, well, then it never happened.
Mine actually ain't on a gun right now because I had it out and about. All right. So what do we got coming up on Friday? We got a great show, I think, lined up for Mitchell in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Mountain Time, 8:15 Central. And we're going to be, Todd's going to be gone. So it's just going to be me and you, man. Me and you. And I know we talked about we're going to do the Soda Meyer. What do we got? Mike's muted. There he is.
Okay.
Oh,
I'll be right up. Start. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No.
Quickly? Yep.
Oh, you're back. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah,
anyway, we're going to be on K-Fire. I know we're going to talk about what happened with Sonia Sotomayor's incident. Bodyguards had to take out, evidently, an attempted carjacking. We're going to talk about that on Friday. By the way, Minot, North Dakota. Anybody in North Dakota knows where that's at? I'm about 100 miles north of Bismarck. State Fair coming up. Well, in their infinite wisdom. And I'm going to do some digging, see what I can find out. They are adding metal detectors to get into the damn fair now. Not for your normal stuff. They're being so nice and gracious. It's not like TSA. They're assuring everybody you don't have to take your shoes and belt out. No, it's just going to look for weapons and other dangerous items. Well, that means a knife or a gun. So what they've decided is that on the public grounds of the state fair in Minot, North Dakota, in a state that has constitutional carry, and you have the right to bear arms, you can even get a concealed carry license if you still want for other reasons. They're going to go ahead and ban guns. I mean, that's what they did. They can say it's for safety, but when you're putting metal detectors up at the entrances, and it's for your own safety, so they're taking away your right to legally defend yourself and your private property and yourself. Yep. Plain and simple.
You're making yourself set up as a victim, as a target.
They're setting up a victim zone and a soft target zone now at the state fair. And I'm going to call and see what this is about. Hopefully I can have a little more info by Friday. But I'm kind of wondering if it's kind of like some of these other things. Like I was telling, Medora's that way now. The Medora Musical, a lot of things in Medora are farmed out to a different thing that's running them. It's not a North Dakota-based entity anymore. Well, I wonder if the state fair is doing that. If they farm that out to some big, entertainment thing that takes care of it. I know that the thing up in New Salem is that way when they have that great big country fest. That's an out-state entity. That's what they do. They're promoters, and they come in and they put these things on now. I imagine that's what's happening. We've seen it happening every place else, and I want to find out. I mean, I'm not going to go to a state fair that denies me my Second Amendment rights.
No.
I just won't go anymore. I'm sure a lot of people won't care, just like they went back to watching football. They just don't care, and that's how we get here. When you stop caring, that's what happens. You know what? Sometimes things are uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to make decisions and not support things that infringe on your rights. But that's a whole show by itself, probably. Anyway, coming up on K-Fire, that's one of the things we're going to be talking about. State fair and basically the elimination of your Second Amendment rights at the state fair in Minot, because that's what it is.
Right.
And I believe Jamie, he didn't send nothing.
No, nothing, not today.
701 Nation tomorrow, I do believe. But I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty positive he's doing a 701 Nation segment. But if he is, maybe we can do a little live and get on there and let everybody know. Otherwise, Jamie may be on tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll promo something.
And of course, you can join us here every single Wednesday night. And at our new time, 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain, 8 o'clock p.m. Central. And, of course, Mike's going to be on vacation. Well, not really on vacation. You're going to be out there with your son doing some great things and going down to New Orleans.
New Orleans, yep.
Just
Trying to tune
away.
in. I'll try to get into the show on from there. So, yeah.
Sounds good. All right. With that, everybody, that's kind of our show tonight. I was able to get out early from the field today, come in and do this. Mike and I got to talk about a couple things before we go. But other than that, I think that's a wrap tonight, ain't it?
That's it. That's all I got.
Right. Guys, stay safe. Have a great weekend. And always remember, keep your powder dry. See everybody next week. And don't forget to listen Friday morning, right?